talk about, and this is what they did say, not what ABC pretended they said.
What did they say?
They said about you and President Bush, and I quote, "The U.S. government took the threat seriously, but not in the sense of mustering anything like the kind of effort that would be gathered to confront an enemy of the first, second, or even third rank."
First of all, that's not true with us and bin Laden.
Well, I'm telling you, that's what the 9/11 Commission.
Well, sparks flying on Fox News Sunday. Former President Clinton and host Chris Wallace at odds over the 9/11 Commission report that said Clinton did not do enough to go after Osama bin Laden. We're talking with someone who has some very unique insight into the issue. Jamie Gorelick was Deputy Attorney General in the Clinton administration. She was also a member of the 9/11 Commission. And Commissioner, your thoughts on the interview first off?
Well, I can understand why the former president was upset. After all, if you think that history is being made by an inaccurate ABC miniseries instead of, the 9/11 Commission report, which was a bipartisan report, unanimous conclusions that took 20 months to reach, you might be upset too. When President Bush has felt criticized as a result of the war on terror, he's been pretty sensitive about it as well.
Did the administration do enough, in your estimation, to go after Osama bin Laden?
Well, the 9/11 Commission report finds many, many efforts that the Clinton administration made throughout its tenure, and certainly gives President Clinton plaudits for understanding the threat, for being seized by it, and trying to do what he could. He had very few shots at bin Laden, took them with sending 60 Tomahawk missiles in to get him, and failed at that effort. But that was an effort that he made, and as you no doubt recall, was criticized for. As he himself said in that interview, he tried and failed to get bin Laden, and that was a significant failure that we noted.
About this so-called wall, you have said this wall, which is the wall between law enforcement and intelligence, that it existed before your time in the administration. There is now some criticism levied against you that you actually helped bolster this wall, that you kept it up. Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I thought I was coming on your show as a 9/11 commissioner, but I'm happy to talk about what the 9/11 Commission found. There was no wall, and the memo that is the subject of your question didn't create any wall at all outside of the FBI and the Justice Department. So there is no wall between the FBI and the CIA, and there never was one. Second of all, that memo that you described, which was put out in 1995 by Attorney General Reno, implemented a statute passed by Congress in 1978 and was carried forward by Attorney General Ashcroft, who reissued it in August of 2001. So if I could have personally created this wall, he could personally have taken it down, and he did not. Even after the Patriot Act changed the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, changed the law, the FISA court, the court that controlled these wiretaps, still said the old rules have to stay in place. So this is actually just a bunch of hooey.
Commissioner, speaking of the 9/11, your critics have been asking you to testify before the 9/11 Commission, and do you think that will happen at some point in time?
I actually don't know what you're talking about. I did provide testimony to the 9/11 Commission.
The Washington Times is now saying that you have been asked to go before the commission, to go back before and tell more about this so-called wall. And is that not accurate?
That's not accurate. There is no more commission. The commission ended in July of 2004.
No, I'm saying to follow up on this and maybe get some more answers from you. Would that ever happen? Would you ever go back in? And the president's today saying that mistakes were made, former President Clinton mistakes were made. Would you agree with that, or do you think you did the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time?
Look, if this interview is about what I did, I have fully described what I did, and you can read the conclusions of that in the 9/11 Commission report. It's very clear that the rules in place when we were looking for Moussaoui, when we were looking for Mihdhar and Hazmi, were put in place by John Ashcroft.
Commissioner,
they were not put in place by me. So I think this is just silly.
We've got to go. Thanks very much. Much more coming up on Studio B.